Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Couch Warriors. Here we are again. Obviously, would rather to be celebrating a good Wales win, but unfortunately, it wasn't to be on the weekend. But we will talk about it nonetheless. I'm one of your co-hosts, Richard the Bear Working Conductor Letty, and joined as always by my good mate John Lazo Ron. John, how are you, bro? You've been up in Auckland the last few days.
Oh yeah. I'm always traveling for work, and there's always seems to be on the days that we're trying to record. So yeah, if you're listening in and or you're watching and I seem a bit like dazed or just tired, yeah, that's the reason why I've been out since 4 a.m, bro. But now I'm pumped for tonight. Let's get through this. Let's get through this.
Nice, bro. Yeah, well, obviously we'd usually be recording on a Monday or Tuesday, but it's a Wednesday today. But we've got plenty to talk about. We've got a team in front of us, but just to quickly just touch on our little April Fool's gag from last week. I thought, I messaged you in the morning saying, "Oh, should we do something?" And it was a bit later in the day. It wasn't quite midday, but I was wondering, oh, maybe we'll be a bit late to the party here. But we went ahead in the end and did a little funny little thing of Tony Staggs had signed for the Warriors, and it was quite funny just looking through the comments. It was sort of a few people got it straight away. There was obviously a few people who fell for it, a few people commented on whether he'd be a good signing or not. Yeah, so it was just a fun little thing. Do you reckon if they did sign Staggs, would you be feeling alright about that?
I would be feeling all right about that. We need a center. I mean, I think that's one area. I mean, you've mentioned it so many times. You go on about it a lot, but the thing is, the reason why you go on about it a lot is because we actually need a genuine world class center, even just a genuine center, just a genuine center in there because we seem to be running dry on that area in the when it comes to troops. But going back to your April Fool's joke, when you told me about it, I was like, yeah, okay, okay, yeah. I was 50-50, but then because of the timing, but we did get it in before midday, like you said. So as long as we got it in around 11 a.m. and it did fool some people. It was pretty well done. You actually put the graphic together, and when I looked at it, I was like, wow, this is amazing. It does look like a Warriors graphic, because I think I saw a graphic that was very similar. So you've just based it on another Warriors graphic, haven't you?
Yeah,
Didn't That's
yeah.
what you
Just
did.
based
That's what you did, eh?
It was the Willie Warbuck one from a few days earlier. So I just thought that would be a bit of fun to do, and it was good to get a few. I think we had about a couple of thousand likes on it. Pretty high engagement. As I said before, there was some good comments, and it was a lot of people were saying similar to what I've been saying. Like, oh, wouldn't mind having a good centre like that.
Well,
Um,
let's check out actually how well it did, because I think it did pretty well. Like, considering. Let me find the stats for it, right?
yes.
Because I didn't think it would go as I reckon it went viral. Well, what would you consider viral in terms of views?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to know and I think media often cook the numbers a little bit, but I
Yeah.
think anytime, like considering we've got like what about 4,000 followers on Facebook, and we had over 3,000 likes. That's a pretty good sign that you're hitting.
Yeah.
I think we ended up getting about 50 or 60 new followers from it. So it was
Yeah.
from what I
Well,
saw. So it was good. Sometimes people just like a little, a little fun game like that to get a bit of
well,
engagement up.
yeah, well, let me tell you, for example, so we had 3,000. Okay, I'll go to the exact stats. We had 500,000 views. So I would say that's viral. I would say that's pretty much viral in a way. 60 followers came from it. Yeah, 73,000 engagements. 3K likes, 385 comments, 94 shares. So a lot of people did fall for it. I mean, you sent me the graphic, and then I put the wording in. The wording was, the Broncos have agreed to release Kosoni Zags to the Warriors as part of the trade deal. So that's why I think a lot of people fell for it
Yeah,
because of that. I think so. Yeah, I put my journalism skills into work there, but I actually thought just people would be like, nah, April Fool. I thought everyone would get it.
yeah,
I thought everyone would get it, but like there were a lot of people that were forward, and I saw on Instagram someone said, "I was so happy that I realized what day it was. I was about to throw my phone at the wall," and I think you commented back saying, "Oh, sorry to do you like that, bruv." I think you said something along those lines, but I think people were still just laughed about it. But there were some people I think there were some really salty Broncos fans on there saying, "Nah, he
yeah.
would never leave us. He would never leave us." It's like, man, it's April Fools. Calm down. Flipping
Yeah,
you donkeys, you bloody donkeys, just calm down. Yeah.
that's the Broncos for you, the Broncos fans for you, though, eh? A bunch of blooming grubs, John. Bunch of blooming
Yep.
grubs, I tell you.
Yep. No, but it was good. It was good. It was funny. It was good. And I mean, I think everyone was doing it. I think every sort of sports channel that was out there was doing an April's Fools. I mean, the Legend of Mahadi Banks did a really good one where they I don't know if you saw it. They said that the Hurricanes have been stripped of their competition points for paying an illegal player, and it looked really legit. Even I woke up. I didn't realize what the date was. I didn't
Oh,
realize it
yeah.
was the 1st of April. I woke up morning looking at it because I'd been traveling. You know what I mean? I've been traveling, just lost sight of what day it was. I was thinking, what the heck? Then I looked at the comments. April Fool's, like, was it? Oh, is it the 1st of April? Then I was just like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? So that was a really cool one. That nearly got me. That nearly got me. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah, right there. All right there. Nah, it's good fun. Good way to sort of kick off proceedings tonight for us as well, to reminisce on that before we have to
yeah.
dive into what was just another frustrating Sunday afternoon, wasn't it? We've been here many times. Obviously the Warriors started the season
Yeah.
well, 3-0, looking so good. But the
Yeah.
last two games have really dropped off the radar against the Tigers and the Sharks on the weekend. So kudos to the Sharks. I think like reading a lot of the Warriors comments, there was a lot of people throwing certain players under the bus. I think that there was a couple of those tries that the Sharks scored that they would have scored against 95% of the teams in the comp. Like they were on, and particularly sort of that second half of that. Well, second half of the first half, if that makes sense. The second 20 minutes of that first half, they were seen it to the left, and unfortunately our right edge, which I feel like we've been talking about this for about 2 years. This right edge defence, and it doesn't matter who we put in there. It seems like just something that we just can't quite get right. So,
Well, it needs fixing, bro. It
I
needs
mean,
fixing.
what was your original, apart from sort of, I suppose the obvious, like what was your original take from that game?
Well, I mean, as seems to be, when it comes to Warriors games, we always start with a bang. Then one basic error leads to the turning point of a game where the opposition seem to slaughter us. Like, for example, I know you said that there were some good tries from the Sharks, but I thought some of them were quite easy as well. And it was like those 3 tries came from mistakes. All 3 tries in the first half came from a Warriors basic mistake, like whether it was in their half or in our half, and they capitalized on them. So good on the Sharks for doing that. That's what a good team does. The team makes a mistake, you capitalize on it, and that's what they did. And it was really, really frustrating because we started off well, and I was just like, okay, good. And I wasn't thinking like, okay, we're back to our best. I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking like, okay, guys, hold it together. I was thinking, hold it together. Continue doing this for 80 minutes. That's what I was thinking at the time. But then I remember the first mistake happened, and I just remember then the Sharks just took it from there.
Yeah.
So, like I said, one mistake led to a try, then another mistake led to a try, and then another basic error led to a try, and it was just the blueprint for the night for the Warriors, just mistakes, and then they just capitalized on them.
Yeah, it was definitely a sense of deja vu, seeing Will Kennedy cut through their line a couple of times early in the first half there.
He was amazing.
Yeah, he had a great game. Yeah, I mean, we started well. I think it was good to see Dallin kind of putting his body on the line. I feel like we haven't seen him doing those big dives across the line for a while, but he did. He managed to sneak in there a couple of times. We got with 3 tries, but 2 of them were from sort of being set up in the corner, little touches. But yeah, I mean, it just feels like that sort of honeymoon period's over. We've come out of that game. Obviously, extra injury with Metcalf out now as well. Plenty of questions about what to do. I suppose I mean, started off pretty negatively. Did you was there a positive you took from the game? Is there anything that you sort of look back on and think, hey,
not really.
we did this quite well?
Not really, bro. I mean, the next point that I had in my notes here was that you brought it up already as the right edge. It needs fixing. And look, this is not having. I know that when it comes to Warriors and Warriors fans, when you mention the right edge, everyone seems to point the finger at Dallin. They point the finger at DWZ, but it's not really, you can't just point the finger at him. There's a whole right edge there. There's more than one player. But, when you look at the tries that the Sharks scored, like you said, they went to the left. They went to their left, our right. It always looks like we're like slim on troops there. It looks like we've got like maybe like 1 or 2 or 3 people there, whereas in the opposition looks like they've got like a ton of players there. It looks like we're just like, like 2 for 1, do you know what I mean? When you look at it, it looks like there's so much big gaps. There's such big gaps in there between the players, but then that's why they're able to like slip through the gaps really easily, the opposition. They need to fix that right edge in terms of not just defense itself, but they need to get more players over there. Because I don't know if it's just an image in my head, but it looks like we're just like slim on troops on that right edge. It looks like, they'll have 5 players, the opposition will have 5 players there, and we'll have like 3. And you always, and it looks like there's always an overlap. Because that's why
Yeah.
Dallin keeps going in, because he has no choice to go in on like the center. That's drawing him in, and then passes to the wing, and then they score. So, that's why people point the finger at Dallin, because they think he is the one. He's the one coming in. But sometimes he has no choice to come in because his centre has gone off and taken out the other guy that, from maybe they're 5'8". Their 5'8" has drawn the centre in. Then the centre's got the ball and draws Dallin in, and then the wing has a free ride to the try line. So, we always seem to be slim on troops on the right edge. It just seems that way, and it's frustrating. They need to fix that. They really need to fix that right edge in terms of how they go about, in terms of players being out there and the sliding over, and not just committing to the the guy squaring up so easily and so quickly. So
Yeah, as I said before, it doesn't just seems like it doesn't matter who's playing on that side. It's always going to be, it's the case. I like it, and I mean, you said before that Dallin often gets thrown under the bus, but I feel like on this occasion there was a few more comments being thrown, towards. Obviously, I mean, it's annoying because I've been calling the chance to, play centre for a while because I want to see Tuapiki play at the back. But
Yeah.
I suppose that is what happens when you got a fullback playing in the centres. He was obviously they found a weakness there. I think you could probably put some blame on Jack and Blaben's back as well. Like I feel like being the second rower there, he should be shoring up the on that side. He should be shoring up that defence, but no, it just wasn't to be. And it just every time they threw the ball that way, it was just a little bit terrifying, wasn't it? If it wasn't for Dallin had a one intercept, which he caught and ran 90 metres to score, that would have been a try. And then there was another one which he dropped. But I feel like if that had gone to hand, the way they were throwing the ball around, we wouldn't have been able to stop it, eh? So, it's interesting. And it just it brings up a lot of selection questions about whether, because I thought Tuapiki had a great game, on the whole. He's probably still not bringing that real attacking spark that I want to see from him. But I think the opportunities just weren't there in this game. But it was great to see him defensively. He really, once again, I think it's about the 3rd week in a row that he's played. He's put his body on the line and saved a try or two. That one on, I think it was on, it was on Stone Street, I think, where he came across and put his body on the line and tackled him out quite early in the game. And obviously, we ended up losing 36-22. But if it was a close game, it's moments like that you would look back on and think, hey, like if they had scored there, it could have changed the momentum. So,
bro, that score flatters the Warriors, to be honest, the way they played in the end. And I know there's still a 14-point gap, which is more than 2 committed tries, but that scoreline to me flatters the Warriors. The way they played, it was quite horrible. Take away the first 15-20 minutes where the Warriors were doing well, and then the rest of the game was just horrible. And we scored a try straight after the half. In the second half, and I was thinking, okay, maybe Webby's kick their ass in the changing sheds there, and then giving them a good spray, which apparently he did, and then they've gone into it, but then they just, after that try, it fell apart again. And I don't know, bro. It's a hard one because you don't have to be a genius to figure out that every team now is eyeing up that right edge of ours. Every team in the competition, doesn't matter how good you are, 1 to 17. Every team, when they play us, we're thinking, okay, we're attacking on the left here. We're attacking the Warriors' right edge, and they've got to fix. That's why I'm saying they've got to fix it. They've got
Yeah.
to fix something. They've got to do something about positions and stuff. Like I said, I'm not pointing fingers at people. I'm saying they've got to fix the structure they've got there. They've got to fix
Yeah.
their defensive structure there because, you see it all the time, as I mentioned just before. They're all going in too early, or they have no choice. Sometimes you don't have a choice. When the player's coming in, you've got to go through. You can't just let them go through. And then there just seems to be an overlap all the time. So they've got to fix their defensive structure on their right edge, because teams are going to attack our right edge every day of the week. So that's something they're gonna figure out. And like you said before, this is something that's been happening for years. This is not just a 2026 thing. This is a many years thing. So
yeah, and it's just whoever goes there. It just seems to be the problem. So I don't know whether it's just the way that this team's coached or, but yeah, it was really giving me a lot of anxiety watching that game. After the sort of 5th minute where we scored the early try, we were looking really good. We had a lot of ball. I think we'd completed 9 of 9 to start the game or something like that, I remember, and they'd only had about 3 or 4 sets at that point. So you'd started the game really well, had all the momentum, but such as rugby league, such a momentum game, and we just sort of lost it. Even at half time, I was like, all we need is a quick try to, and we could turn things around. We did score a quick try, and you're like, oh, okay, we're within 2 tries now, but now they just, or maybe just over 2 tries, must have been 24-10 at that point. Yeah, but yeah, it's just, it was a frustrating one. Been a Sunday game. I've been waiting all weekend for it. I was really up and about. I was feeling good.
Yeah.
Went around watching it at the in-laws. And they're always giving me a hard time about it. They keep, we're sorry about this one, I'm just like, just shut up.
Yeah. Well, if you found that hard, imagine.
I need this right now.
Exactly. Imagine me, my wife, who doesn't even like rugby league, doesn't know nothing about rugby league. She's starting to get into it now because she's in a tipping comp, and she's beating me, by the way, which is unacceptable.
I did notice that. It was in my notes.
Yeah, it's unacceptable. And she was taunting me. She was like, when the Warriors are losing, because she picked the Sharks anyway. She did it just to piss me off.
Oh, of course she did.
Yeah, my wife picked the Sharks just to piss me off. And every time they were scoring, she would just look at me she would just look at me look over at me with the big grin on her face, not saying nothing, just smiling at me. And she was taunting me, and she was like, "Oh, hey, babe, have you seen the tipping comp ladder?" And I'm like, I'm not looking at it. You said, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. But she was taunting me the whole time. And yeah, I can't let her beat me, mate. I can't let her beat me because she doesn't know nothing about league. She's picking the teams right for some reason. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, oh man, did you watch much of the league that weekend as well? It was a wild weekend on the whole. There was so many results that sort of just didn't expect. Obviously, Penrith doing a big number on the Storm. Storm conceding 50 points for the first time, and unfortunately, we're the team that has to play them this week. And I'm sure there's stats out there that say a team that concedes 50 points one week generally bounces back pretty well. And considering that we haven't beaten the Storm in 17 games, John, it's crazy, isn't it?
More than 10 years, mate. 2015? 11 years.
Think, yeah.
11 years we haven't beaten them. That's when the infamous old Nathan Friend, when he did the backflip and passed the ball through his legs. Do you remember that?
Wasn't that game, was it?
Yeah, that game was the last time. I'm pretty sure that was the last time they'd beaten Storm at their home ground, though. At their home ground. Yeah, at their home ground. That's where we're playing, right? We're playing in Melbourne this week, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, so I think that's the stat there. But I know the Storm has always been a daunting game for the Warriors, because it's no matter how good a form they're in, they just seem to be that team that the Warriors sort of just can't seem to get on top of. They do it sometimes in the finals. They've done it in the finals in previous years, but just in your round robin game, they don't seem to do really well.
Yeah, when you say previous years, we're talking like 15, 20 years ago now.
Exactly. So I don't know if it's a mental thing. Do you think it's a mental thing? With cricket, with cricket, like with the Black Caps, really good team. They beat India constantly. They beat India and they beat England. They beat all the other teams, but for some reason, there's this mental sort of wall against Australia for some reason.
Yeah.
Like against the but they've got the players that can compete with Australia, that's for sure. But for some reason, psychologically, it's gets
Oh
a bit
yeah.
funny
I mean,
there. So I don't know if
it
it's the
would
same
need to
thing,
be.
Hmm?
It would play in your
Yeah,
head, wouldn't it? Like them
yeah,
knowing that it's been over 10 years since the last beat the Storm, not even beat the Storm in Melbourne, beat the Storm in general. Obviously, there's some few COVID years in there,
yeah,
and there were some pretty dark days. If you think of, the Stephen Kearney and the Nathan Brown coaching the Warriors, it's been a pretty tough decade. But hey, although we're coming off 2 losses, we are in a
yeah.
pretty good spot. As far as, we're still 5th on the ladder, still got I think the second best points differential in the competition.
Yes,
So
I saw that.
if
Yep,
we
I
can
saw that.
just, you know, even if we lose this weekend, keep our heads up. We'll still all right. We'll talk more about that game soon. Did just want to quickly touch on obviously Metcalf's went off late in the game with a hamstring injury, and indications are that he'll be out for a couple of weeks. He hasn't been named this week.
Yeah,
A lot of talk about whether he should have been, eased back into it. Obviously, a lot of the momentum people are sort of pointing their fingers at him, saying this is why the momentum stopped. I think for starters, like the annoying thing about that is that everyone's like, Webby's changed the team too much. It's like, well, he hasn't really. All he's done is brought Metcalf in, which I don't think anyone was really questioning when he was brought back
no,
in. Like
no,
as soon as he's fit. I mean,
yeah,
we talked about it. We were like, it was just a matter of whether he'd play 6 or 7, wasn't it?
yeah. Whether you liked
So,
it, or not, it was going to happen, right? Whether you liked it,
yeah,
whether you thought he needed to go and play New South Wales Cup or not, the reality was that Webby was going to bring him straight back into the side. There was never going to be like a building up to playing first grade period. It was just going to be go straight back into the side. That was going
yeah,
to be it.
exactly.
That was whether you like it or not. That was going to be the reality. That was what was going to happen. Yeah,
And if he had played New South Wales Cup, I feel like people would have been like, "Why is he playing? He should be playing 5th grade."
yeah,
So it's just saying
yeah.
that sort of I suppose the momentum of the seasons is stopped. I'm not putting it down to that. Him
Yeah.
go back into the squad at all. But yeah,
No.
did you feel like he would sort of rush back at all, or you kind of?
Well,
It sounds like you're
I'm
sort
I'm
of
in, I'm in
thinking,
I'm in two minds about it, bro. Because like we've talked about and what you just explained it, how you just summarized it there. Like I always knew that Metcalf was gonna go straight back in the side, not because I've got inside information, just because you just knew that was gonna happen. Everyone that knows the Warriors team well and Webby well, in terms of how he does things, he was as soon as he was deemed fit, he was gonna and be injected back into the side, and but the real, like you said, the real question was it going to be 6 or 7? Was Tana going to be put back into New South Wales Cup, and then Metcalf goes into 7? There were calls for him to get some time in New South Wales Cup. Didn't think anything of it, bro. But now, after seeing his 2 rusty performances, it probably wouldn't have been a bad idea. But that's in hindsight, right? You don't know that now until after. That's in
yeah,
hindsight, and giving Metcalf a chance to. We all know the talent he possesses, right? We all know, and building his confidence up in New South Wales Cup might have been a good thing, a better strategic move. But like I said, in hindsight, it might have been a better strategic move. But you don't know that at the time. He could have come back and had 2 blinders, and we'd be thinking, oh, that was the right thing to do. But so for me, every time he got the ball, it felt like the attack stalled. Do you feel the same way when they passed the ball to him? It wasn't going straight to the other side. Because he's an attacking player. He got the ball, and I felt like he was caught in 2 minds every time. He got the ball he goes, oh, I've got the ball. I need to attack, or do I need to pass it out? And I think he got caught in 2 minds, and because the Sharks had a good rushing defense as well, couldn't really do anything with it. And I just thought that's where the defense really our attack really lacked, because he just stalled and caught in 2 minds. What do you reckon?
yeah, much so, man. I think I mean I would never have said, oh, I think they rushed him back too much. And I mean, you got to feel for him with the amount of injuries the guy's had over the last
Oh,
his whole career, really. Like
pretty much. Yeah,
I don't think he hasn't had anywhere near a full season for the Warriors. In the probably 4 seasons he's been here now, maybe.
yeah,
I feel like so and you kind of felt I remember that Shark game in 2024, the last game, Sean Johnson's last game, and there was like him and it was almost like the passing of the baton, like it was like this could be his team now. Um, I've said it previously. I still don't think he's a 7. I think he's a good, really good 6. He kind of reminds me of that Cam Munster sort of mold. A bit cheeky. He's really fast when he's fit. So yeah, I mean, I was happy to see him come back at 6. And it's just a shame that it hasn't kind of worked out, and he definitely, and we'll see what happens this weekend. Obviously, we've got Harris-Tavita. He's got the call up again. There was a bit of talk about whether it be him or Hansen. Personally, I'm pretty happy that it's Harris-Tavita there. He would have been my first pick. Yeah, I know your thoughts on Harris-Tavita, John.
No. You always make it out like I hate him or something. I don't. I think he's a great player. I just think that there are players that are more suited to that role than him. But I don't. That doesn't mean I think he's a bad player. I think he's a great player, and he shows it on the field. So, but yeah.
No, we'll see there. Okay, well, we might as well we'll dive into some wild EMs quickly, and then we can talk about some other news around the traps. Do you wanna start us off with the wild EMs this week?
Yeah, man, no worries. So my Williams, I'll start off with 3 points to Tanner Stell-Smith, someone who maybe doesn't get a lot of recognition in terms of Williams for our Williams, but I thought he had a great game. He only played 42 minutes, but every time he got the ball, he ran it straight and really hard, and he was quick as well. I don't know if you noticed that, but he in that 42 minutes, he had 16 runs, ran for 143 meters, made 50 post contact meters, 2 tackle breaks, 13 hit ups. Also, in defensively, he made 22 tackles with an 84.6 tackle efficiency rate. So I think he just had a great game, and I just hope that he can continue that, because when Fisher Harris comes off, he comes on, and when Barney comes back into the team, it's going to be a question mark whether he stays on or Valmonga, in terms of that spot in that bench spot. So I think that he did himself a lot of favors by actually having that blinder of a game. I thought he had a blinder of a game. So yeah, and obviously the stats don't lie. So yeah, so those are my 3 points. DWZ gets my 2 points for his 3 tries. But he didn't just score 3 tries. He ran for 188 meters as well. 2 line breaks, and he was pretty solid. And I thought, to myself then, when I was looking at the team and who played and stuff, it's hard to pick some players because it was just a dull game. And but I think he was one of the shining lights in the game for the Warriors. And also for 1 point, our boy Jackson Ford. He ran for 143 meters. He made 65 post contact meters, 1 tackle break, 14 hit ups, and defensively, he's pretty solid defensively as well. 35 tackles with a 91% tackle efficiency rate. So, yeah, did really well, Jackson Ford. So, those are my 3 2-1s. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'm sort of on the same track. I've got one different player. I've got Tane to get I gave him my 3 points this week. I think he sort of had a hand in, I think, 2 of those Gallen's tries there. Like working that ball over to the right. He was really getting involved there. He had great defense on the whole. Obviously, he had that try saver I talked about before, but he had a couple of other really good moments. 111 run meters, 27 post contact, a tackle break. I thought he was really good under the high ball as well. There was a couple of pretty challenging kicks that Trindle and Hines were putting up, and he well held its ground. So gave him my 3. I had DWZ for my 2 as well. Same reasons you said. I thought he was pretty good under the high ball as well. There was a couple of I think the way Trindle and Hines were taking it. Testing back 3, and I think Rog had a bit of a. Rog probably didn't have his greatest night, but I thought the other 2 were good. Obviously, still some defensive stuff there, but as we said before, I don't think it's not solely on him, and he was the only one who, I mean, he scored 3 tries and definitely saved at least 1, maybe another with his intercepts. And then I had Stell-Smith with my 1 point. Yeah, I think he was only played 42 minutes, but he was dynamite off the bench. And there'll be some questions about once Barnett's fit and all that, what they do with him, because you almost feel like he's pushing himself ahead of Vaimaga, and in the sort of rotation at the moment, the way it is. Obviously Ford's definitely going to be there. Obviously Fish and Barnett are as well. So it's whether they've got space to have both of them or whether Tao Smith's just creeping ahead. I think Valmaga, he had his breakout season last year, but he's been a little bit quiet this year. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there, eh?
Yeah. Yep, you're right, and that's what I meant by saying when Barnett comes back, Valmonga and Stella Smith, they're the two players that are coming on as front rowers, so one will have to go back, and and that's what I meant by Tanner Stella Smith, doing himself a big favor there by the way he played.
Huge.
Yeah. Huge.
Agree with that.
Yep.
So it's our Wally Ems. I think Jackson Ford's still leading at the moment. So, but there'll be a few guys coming up behind. We'll get an updated table up for you sometime in the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
Going on to some news, I suppose, from the game. Your boy Adam Pompey suspended for 2 weeks for his vicious raise of the knee on Brition Nakora. I think most Warriors fans are thinking the same, but when you watch, I had to watch it about 5 times to figure out why he was on report, and it seemed like a pretty classic league contact, something you see, X amount of times a game. But unfortunately, looks like Nakora got his head in the wrong place, and Pompey, being a Warrior, is paying for it. I did love all the comments saying, imagine if that was Cleary or Stephen Crichton, Nakora would have 4 weeks for it, So, did you have pretty similar thoughts on it? Did you see any malice there?
No, I was like you. I was watching it a few times, and when they actually pointed out there was a raising knee, you do see the knee go up a little bit, but like you said, there was no malice in there. It's just Nakora got his head in the wrong place, at the wrong precise moment, and I think the Warriors obviously they would have looked over the footage over and over again. They would have thought there is nothing in this because it didn't look like there was anything in it. That's why they challenged it. If they didn't, if the Warriors thought that no, you have raised your knee, but high enough here, blah 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 blah, they wouldn't have challenged it. But they challenged it because it didn't look that bad, and they still lost, which was quite surprising. But now it means Pompey's out for 2 weeks. To be honest, we gave Pompey a big rap last year because he was great. He did his job last year, and how you mentioned Valmonga, but I think Pompey's been a little bit quiet as well. The start of the season. I'm not saying he's done anything wrong or anything bad, but he's been quiet. He hasn't done anything spectacular either. And we're already in a place where we're trying to figure out who's going to play centre. Who's going to play centre, and we've been putting in makeshift players for the time being. Halasina's been there as well. Chance is there. Chance is playing on the right edge, but when he played for the Kiwis and did really well, he was on the left edge. He played on the left edge, and I don't know if that makes a difference. I don't know, but also here's some amazing Kiwi internationals around him, so they might make a difference as well. But but that's the thing. So Rocco Berry, we have no clue when Rocco Berry's going to be back. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's something out there that says he should be back around this round, but I haven't seen it. I haven't looked at it late.
I think it's around 12 or 13. I think still a while away.
Yeah. So there's still another 7 weeks away. 6 weeks away. So. And Leotoa has been, obviously gone back to New South Wales Cup. He'd probably be the next man up, but they've obviously seen some flaws. That's why they brought him back to New South Wales. Put him back to New South Wales Cup. So it's a hard one because, he's a genuine centre. We've got a genuine centre in Leotoa, but he's been. I don't like to use the word demoted, but kind of has been demoted, hasn't he? From first grade to New South Wales Cup. I don't like using the word demoted. And New South Wales Cup team is an awesome team as well, but and
I expect them. You got to pick your best team, don't you? As far as on paper, if you can make Chance and Tuapiki work, you're gonna. But the question is, can they make it work? And
hot take, Richard.
Saturday's game didn't seem like they can make it work.
Yeah, fair enough. Hot take then. Who is replacing Pompey? Is it Leotoa Or are they going to go do something more makeshift, like put Roger there and then put a Cam Pereira on the wing? So like there's all these different combos that people are talking about. What's the hot take for the centre? What is the hot take?
Oh, bro, I want to see Cam Pereira there, but I don't want to see Roger playing centre. So, no, I'll go with put Lautaro there.
Right.
We've seen what happens when you put someone we've seen what happens when Roger was centre. Just didn't have the same impact. And to be honest with you, I think I don't know whether his head's somewhere else at the moment. The last couple of weeks since he's sort of, been mulling over and made the decision to go to Super League, he just doesn't seem to be. He started off the season really well. His first couple of games were really dominating, but the last probably 2 games he hasn't been at his best. So I'm hoping he's just had a bit of a week to think about sort of how he wants to finish his time with the club. But now I'll go keep Roger on the wing with Dallin, and then maybe even Chance goes to the left and Lautaro plays on the right, because Lautaro is naturally a right centre, so that would probably make more sense to me. What are you, bro?
Yeah, I'm thinking Lautaro will get the call up. It seems to be the obvious option, but you never know with Webby. You never know what he's going to do. And this actually leads. This is a perfect moment to lead into my question that I want to ask you. Is that it's around selection. It's around Webby's loyalty traits, and I want to read to you a passage, or not a passage, sorry, a post from a passage. I don't want to talk about there.
This is from the Book of John.
Yeah, the Book of John, yes. The Book of John Lazaron, yes. All right. He said this in a post on Sports Nation, and this is regarding the Webby's selection loyalties, parts. So he said, I do sometimes question when you look at some of the better coaches in the NRL, his over-situation of loyalty. There have been times in the past 3 or 4 years where the writing's on the wall and we refuse to change out of blind loyalty. Sometimes you do have to make a change, even for a week. And you know what? I read that and I actually agreed with him. And
Who
we've
said that?
Sam Hewitt. He's
Yeah.
one of from
Yeah.
Sports Nation. Yeah, I've spoken to a few times in the past when I was at the Hurricanes. He used to do interviews with the Hurricanes players as well, but I haven't spoken to him of late. But he said that, and I actually agreed with this quote here. And I know we've spoken about this before, and Webby's loyalty is a topic that's been brought up many times amongst fans, and I think that he has actually gone a little bit too far with the loyalty thing here. I think that like for example, the Storm lost 50 lost by 50 points to the Penrith Panthers. You see Bellamy straight away saying some of these guys are going to go into reserve grade. He's putting the threats out there already. You always see Webby doing that. You know what I mean? When you see Webby saying that sort of thing at a post-match conference, at a presser, you won't see him saying this sort of thing. But Bellamy will do that because he's not impressed. And I'm not saying that Webby has to be as ruthless as Bellamy, but I think sometimes if you're not on form, why do you get to jump straight back into the side? Like, a good example, which we've brought up before, is the Dallin situation last year. He was injured. I know he was the incumbent before, but he was injured for a long period of time. And the Warriors were doing good with having Tuapiki on the wing, even though I think he's better at fullback. He was on the wing and it was working. But then as soon as Dallin was fit, things changed. And then not only did the momentum of victories changed, the way we played changed, and we started to lose. And when we did win games, we only just won them. Like the Newcastle Knights, for example, that they were winning spooners and stuff, and we only just beat them, and due to some liquor brilliance. So what I'm trying to say is I agree with Sam Hewitt here, where Webby has to. I think that's one flaw in his coaching manual. I think he's a great coach, so don't get me wrong. I think he's an amazing coach, and he deserves to be there. And I think not only is he a good coach, but he's got a good relationship with the players, so the players love him too. But I think that he needs to be a bit more ruthless when it comes to selection. You got to earn your way there instead of just because he's a high profile now. We put him back in there.
But then he makes the changes, and all the faithful just Webby's changed. The only reason that we're losing is because Webby's made some changes.
But other changes.
I mean, we've talked about those heaps, bro. Like it's very much. But also, I think it probably is a reason why the club's in such a good position. Is that there's a culture there, and part of that is that culture is that people, he puts the respect on the jersey, and the people, the jersey is X person's to lose. But I know, you can, in the last 3 seasons, there's definitely been a handful of situations where, we've sat here and sort of said, come on, like, what can we do? Like, we talked about little things that, changes that he could have made. Obviously, the Tuapiki is a good one, like, there's been a lot of times where we've wanted to see him there. He's there at the moment and Chance is fit. So maybe there is, and, you look at Leotoa as well. Leotoa he wasn't lighting the world on fire, but he was sort of improving every game. But then you said before, you don't want to say dropped, but effectively he was, dragged back to the first grade. So maybe he's slightly changed that this season. We still haven't seen, a fully fit team, have we? We've still got the likes of Capewell out. Obviously, Metcalf's out now. So there's still questions about when everyone's fit. With some of those jerseys, there's going to be some good players that aren't making the first. There's could be some good players playing New South Wales Cup, basically. So
there's plenty.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but also I understand, and I do think it's probably a reason why the club's in a good position, as the culture, and that sort of policies probably helps the culture a lot.
No, and I agree. That's why I said before, like he's got good relationships with the players. He's done a good job there. No. I think I just saying that one little minor flaw is his selection, and I think when he's made changes, it's because it's been forced through injury, or because someone has come back from injury. Those are when the changes have been made, and that's where things get a bit funny, and things like that. But look, we can go on about all this all day because we've done this before. But I'm just saying that there's sometimes I scratch my head sometimes about the selections, about selections and stuff. So,
yeah, you're not alone there, bro. Not alone.
Yeah.
Well, okay, we'll move on to. Well, obviously we had our original Richard versus John last week. We had the Willie Warbrook situation. John was for, I was against. Since then, he's obviously fine with the club, so I'll concede this one, John. I'll give you that one. I mean, he was always going to sign with the club. It was sort of pretty clear, wasn't it? But it will be interesting to see how he goes, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. I was watching that Storm game very closely on Friday night, and when things weren't going the Storm's way, he was very much missing in the game. So hopefully he finds a way. Yeah, well, that's true, but we wouldn't even known he was playing pretty much. And every time he got the ball, he was just making an error or getting tackled. So, but I wanted to sort of touch on this week for Richard and John, the number 6 conundrum with Luke Metcalf out. So we've got, obviously the decision has been made, but I did text you the other day and said, hey, look, this could be a good one because I have a feeling I know how you feel about it. So, Luke Hansen versus Chanel Harris-Tavita. So, I'm going with, it'll shock you all to hear that John's not going for Chanel Harris-Tavita, so I'll jump on that bandwagon. I love my boy Chanel. He's one of my favourite Warriors. Just great utility, always gives his all. And I am going for him for. I mean, amongst all, just it's clear the experience factor, So you got 97 first grade games versus 1. In the 97 games, he scored 21 tries. I thought he was really consistently great last year. Played 24 games, pretty much played the full 80 minutes every game he played. So he kept pretty fit. Managed to score 8 tries in the season. He had a pretty good. He's got an good all-round game. He can kick it, he can run it, he can pass it, and then if need be, he can sort of fill in and be a utility here and there. He was averaging 61 run meters last season, averaging 20 tackles a game. He's a great tackler. I think he's definitely got that on his side. You'd be an idiot to try to deny that. He was averaging about a try assist a game last season. And he only has 1 game this season, scored 2 tries. Hansen's had 1 game, scored 1 try, which was given to him. So Chanel ticks that box as well. He had 142 kicking meters in the one game he played this year. Hansen only kicked the ball once for 2 meters in the game that he played. So
Yeah, that can't be
um,
right.
I'm not sure what. Let's according to NRL.com. Bring up the stats. Now had a try assist, a linebacker assist, a tackle break, and 2 tries in that one game he's played. And they touched the ball about the same amount of times. Chanel touched the ball 32 times, and Hansen 29. So Hansen's obviously was more of a passing half, and he was letting Boyd do the kicking. But Chanel Hurst-Tavita was getting involved in doing some of that dirty work as well. So I think he's got the all-round game. I think ultimately it comes down to the experience side of things. But you know what you're going to get with Chanel. With Luke Hansen, I mean, he was fine in his first game, but I would have hardly not even known he was playing if it wasn't his debut game, I thought. That's me.
You a-hole, because those are some very good stats there you're bringing up. What am I gonna throw back at you? But look, and let me say this, as I said before, I've got nothing against Harris-Tavita. I actually think he's a great player too, and everything you're saying about him is correct. And what I like about Harris-Tavita as well is that his second phase play, he's always there to score a try when if someone hits the ball back, and he's always in the right position, so he's good. And people can say, well, he didn't do anything, he just caught the ball and just dived over but you have to put yourself in those positions. So he does really good in the second phase play. So I'm really, really, really I think Harris-Tavita is a great player, and deserves his spot. The reason my argument has been for a while is I don't think he's a genuine 100% genuine fighter. I think there's some other areas that he might be suited in better. That's my argument. Hansen is a 5'8", hands down, a genuine 5'8", and I'm surprised to hear about that. The kicking stat, because he's a good kicker. He does really. I've seen him in the New South Wales Cup. He kicks a lot, does really well. He's got a good running game. He's a genuine runner. He's good in defense. I've been watching him with an eagle eye. He's doing really well. And people seem to think, because people have been saying, we put a post up about, who would you rather have. And I actually got the results here just to make it easier. So on Facebook, we had 586 results. There wasn't a poll, but it was like the heart or the thumbs up, So Harris-Tavita, there were 321 people that voted for Harris-Tavita, and there were 259 people that voted for Hansen.
Yeah.
It was a bit, I mean, unless they would
be a bit more one-sided then.
Yeah. So did I, actually, to be honest with you. And but maybe they just pressed it for the sake of doing it, and didn't really realize there was a poll. Maybe they didn't realize it. Insta was a bit more one-sided. There was a poll, and at the moment it stands at 943 votes, and 91% of it was for Harris-Tavita. So that was a bit more one-sided. So look, and
one of them was mine, definitely.
I'm pretty sure it was, and the thing is, for me, like I said, I think he's just got better 5'8" skills than Harris-Tavita. But it doesn't mean Harris-Tavita doesn't have skills. I think he does. And people forget that Harris-Tavita has only played 10 more minutes than Hansen, because he was taken off via HIA within the first 10 minutes of the second game. So they've played about the same amount of game time. So they both did a good job. I'm just saying that having Harris-Tavita, you can cover multiple positions, which is also he can play in the forwards. He's a great defender. We've seen him defend really well and hit some big bodies. So he's a great defender, Harris-Tavita, and also he can play. He can cover hooker as well if he needed to and stuff. So I just think he would be more like a utility. That's what I reckon Harris-Tavita would be better at. That's just my opinion, and that's why I would rather have Hansen in there as a specialist 5'8". But like I said, it doesn't mean that if Harris-Tavita is in there, I'm upset. It doesn't mean that if he's in number 6, I'm upset. That's why I'm saying to you, you're an a-hole, because you brought some really good stats and some really good points there, and I can't really counterattack them.
I think you kind of helped out my argument there, actually, to be honest. By the end there, I think, you were.
Yeah, well, let's move on.
Yeah. I mean, Harrison is playing this week, so I'm looking forward to it. We'll just
Yeah.
quickly touch on the tipping comp because John did touch on it before, but yeah, he's sitting down the order on 45th in the Catch Coaches.
Yeah, I can't believe that.
Catch
Yeah.
Warriors, sorry, tipping comp on 23 points. His wife Sagina's on 24 points, so she's obviously got that game up on him with the Sharks getting over the Warriors. I'm on 25 points in 12th place, and then we've got Woodsman78, aka Tony. He's on number 1 and 28 points. So it's pretty tight comp.
It's pretty tight, yeah. It's pretty
It
tight
was a
still.
tough round actually. I think I only got 4 on the weekend. It was just, with there was quite a few results, which I was expecting to go the other way. I think I had the Dragons to win, which is I'm an idiot for.
Even that made me laugh. Sorry, bro.
They've got to win
April
at some
Fools.
point.
April
They've got to
Fools.
win at some point.
I thought it was an April Fool's joke.
Yeah, so if you do want to get involved, find us. So I don't have the code written down at the moment, but we'll put it in the blurb on YouTube and on Spotify, wherever you're listening. Yeah, so we obviously have a game this weekend, which we've alluded to, against the Melbourne Storm. We are recording on a Wednesday, so we've got some teams. So I'll quickly run through the Warriors team, and we can have a quick preview of the game and let you know whether we think we can break the 17 game drought. So this is a team which is on Wednesday night, still named. At the moment, yeah, obviously we mentioned before, Pompey is not going to play him, but he's still on NRL.com, so we'll see what happens there. But we've got Tane Tuapiki back at fullback, Dallin and Roger on the wings. We've got Chance and Pompey, but we'll see who plays in the centre there. We've got Harris Tavita, my boy, in the number 6 jersey, making his return with Tanner Boyd. Obviously, they played in the first round together and looked very, very good. We've got Fisher Harris and Jackson Ford, props. Wade Egan at hooker. Thought he had a pretty good game on the weekend. He seems to be getting himself a bit more busy, so hopefully he can keep building there. We've got Leka, Halasima, and Jacob Laban in the second row again, and your boy and mine, Aaron Clark at lock. On the bench, we've got Sam Healy, Marata Nuapure, Dimitri Barmoga, and Tanis Dale Smith. 18th man, Eddie Edemir Toyava, and your boy Luke Hanson at number 22, but effectively number 19, so he could still be late in on the bench or something. So what happens there? Got Lofi Campera, Morgan Gannon, and Ali Latoa, who I suspect will play in the centres there. So were you expecting anything different there? You surprised to see him still stick with Tuapiki, and do you think Tuapiki will start at fullback?
Yep, I still think he will. I think Tuapiki is the difference, like we mentioned many times before. I think the difference between Tuapiki and Chance is that Tuapiki has more of a spark and a playmaker ability, which you need as a fullback these days. If you look at the good fullbacks right now, like the Reece Walshes, etc., they've all got an ability to they're like a third playmaker. This is part of the spine, a third playmaker in terms of like a 5'8" or a halfback. And I don't really see Chance having that, or not as much as nowhere near compared to Tuapiki. I think Tuapiki's got that, so that's why I like him there. But yeah, I don't know. It didn't, because of all the stuff that happened on the right edge. It didn't look good for Chance, or didn't it, on defense. I mean, it didn't look good for him on defense. So yeah.
But yeah, as I said before, I think it's not just him, it's not Dallin, it's not just Laban, it's sort of just a combination of it all. Probably even further inside, you can look at the halves, and I haven't watched. I couldn't bring myself to watching the replay. I was just like, nah, just too frustrated by that game. It's just it's not good for my mental health. But I suppose you got to look at the positives. Like Chance, he did have 2 try assists in the weekend. The week before, he did score 2 tries, so he's obviously proved that he can play in that position on attack. It's just obviously
no one's questioning the attack. No one's questioning the attack. That's when we're scoring our tries on the right. We're scoring more tries on the right. That's the right edge defense. That's the issue that needs fixing. But the right edge attack seems to be doing okay. So so no one's questioning that. It's just the defense. But one more I'll throw you, because I know that we're running out of time here. So one more I'll throw quickly at you is Nuakure. Did you think he did all right, or do you think it's still,
Oh, like real, just neither way really. I don't think he had a great game. I think I'll just bring up some stats here. He had 3 runs, 23 meters of 46 minutes, so not
Is
great
that all?
output. No, no, not great output there. Yeah. He
Yeah.
did 22 tackles. Um, yeah, I mean, we sort of talked before about, when we're full strength, who's gonna be missing out, who's making it. Um, once Kate Bell's back and Barnett's fit, I'd be very surprised to see him still get that.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's probably played 3 games this year, and he just I don't think we've seen the best of him since 2023. Like it's been
No, he's
3
an amazing
seasons
player,
since he
right? He's an
really
amazing
si
player, but we haven't seen the best of him, like you're saying.
yeah, for a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
think I said it last week. I'd be very surprised to hear him re-signing for next year. He's sort of coming to the end of his time at the end of the year. Yeah, so I mean, I've got big questions there. I think Laban as well is someone who we just he started the season quite well. He had a really good game in the All Stars game. I think the first couple of games he looked quite good, but scored a couple of tries. But he's didn't have a great game, I thought, and I think defensively some of that blame needs to be sort of shifted towards him as well. He had only 4 runs for 25 meters and 13 tackles, and considering that each was they were throwing the ball that way each time, you probably would expect a few more, bit more output there as well. So I mean,
Fair
once
enough.
everyone's fit, there'll be a few. As I said before, there'll be some good players missing out.
Mm.
But Neil
I
Corey
hope, I
is
hope to
there
see
again.
Gannon.
Logan's there
I
again.
I hope to see
Yeah,
Gannon get another shot because the reason why Gannon hasn't played because it was obviously HRA, which he has a
yeah,
history of. He has a history of concussions, but um, I hope to see because I think he's a beast, but I mean, so he hasn't had a chance to prove himself at this level
yeah.
yet.
Oh,
So I think
I'm with
hopefully,
you there, bro.
yeah,
I've said, I think we've both said the same last few weeks. So he's obviously there or thereabouts. Like he's been 20th man the last couple of weeks. The one game he
yeah,
had, he got knocked out.
yeah,
So if the Warriors are to break the streak, John, where are you
yeah.
looking to? Like, is there a way we're going to do it? Is there a certain player who's going to have a blinder? How do the Warriors break the streak this weekend against the Storm side that'll be hurting?
Do something different than what they normally do because I think that if they just I mean, like more offloads, play that kind of game, play that sort of free flowing game. I think that's the only way you're gonna sort of make a dent there. If they just continue to play, I mean, like the first few games for the Warriors, they played awesome. But the reason why they were able to do that is because they played consistently through the whole 80 minutes, a good attacking game and defensive game. Now they're falling off at certain points of the game. Of like 20 to the first 10 minutes, they're attacking really hard, scoring, and then it just drops, and then momentum drops, momentum swings. Sorry, and it's just I just think that for this against the Storm, you got to try something different because otherwise they're gonna tear us apart if we continue to do the same thing.
Yeah, I agree.
I hope that makes
Um,
sense. Hope that makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, no, it
Yeah.
does. I think for me, they need to just tidy up their game a bit. I think just they were just charging about the field and then just making silly errors, little not at quite crucial points of the game. I feel like your boy Jackson Forbes, and we've talked about him a few times. He's an absolute battler, but he does have a error in him. He had a couple of little handling errors, but not
Yeah.
gonna. Yeah, I'm not just pointing the finger at him. I think there was a lot of players that I was just having a look at the errors of the game, and it was 12 all, which I'm quite surprised about. I thought we would have been a lot worse than that, but maybe our ones were just at a bit more crucial times where we could have would
Well, they
have
capitalized
minded.
on them, didn't they? We didn't. We didn't. They capitalized whether we didn't. On the errors, and we
Yeah.
made some stupid errors. Like for example, we know the play the ball one where they played the ball and there was no one there. There was no one there at dummy half.
Oh
To
yeah.
yeah. So things like that. Things like that. Like so the tidying what you said, tidy things up a bit. Things like that.
Inexcusable, yeah.
Yeah.
Righto. Are the Wires getting up this weekend? Are they going to do it? I know I asked you what they had to do, but do you generally think they can do it?
No, I want to say yes. I don't know because they see, like you said, the Storm are hurting, and I'm pretty sure that they'll be getting sprays, left, right, and center during this week. from Bellamy. I just hope Webster's doing the same thing. And you know what? I've been doing good with my hot takes this year, as you know, and pretty much I've got a 100% track record on my hot takes right so far. The Warriors are going to pull out a blinder, but there are going to be some changes before how they can make changes an hour before kickoff.
Yeah,
I reckon we're going to see some changes. Yeah,
yeah,
know
well,
what, I don't know who, don't know where, but just there will be some changes, and they're
would
going to
love
pull
to
out.
see it.
Yeah, love to see it.
I'd love to see it, but I mean, history has its eyes on the Wars here, and I can't quite break that 17-game hurdle myself. But as I said, be very happy to see it. I will be watching 9:35 p.m. on Saturday night over at Amy Stadium. That's it for another week of the Couch Warriors. Thank you for listening, John. Anything you want to say before we sign off?
No, just up the wires. I mean, look, we're all great. We're in a slump. We're in a slump right now. It is. It's a slump. It's not. We haven't lost back-to-back games because they weren't tight games. Where we just lost and where we played well, but we still lost. We're in a slump because we've been playing awful. We were awful. We were awful against the Sharks and stuff. So we're just my words are just like, stick with the team. They're gonna come together. It's all gonna come better. It's all gonna get better. And I'm trying to say something really to lift people's spirits up, because I know people's spirits are down at the moment, especially Warriors fans. But
Yeah,
just stick with the team. They're gonna come better.
It could be
Yeah.
worse. We're on the top 8. We've still got a good points
Yeah.
differential. We've got nothing to lose going over to Amy Stadium this weekend. So,
Yeah.
as
Just
I
keep
said
backing the
before,
team.
I don't know whether I'm keen on it, but I will manifest it, and I will take a point start, Warriors plus point start for sure if you're having a bet this weekend. So, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a like, a subscribe, comment wherever you're watching. Come find us on social. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all the platforms. We love to have you on. Flick us a message. Tell us what you want to hear on the podcast. We love the support. Love you. Love the Wars. Up the Wars. Let's go, baby. We've got the faith.